News at noon starts now.
A city in mourning while authorities search for a motive. What neighbors and friends are saying about the man who shot and killed 4 Marines. Plus, the Illinois town cleaning up after a Twister touchdown. And getting your child ready for the classroom. Why checking their eyes is needed just as much as filling their backpack. Good afternoon from KY3 News. I'm Linda Russell. Steve is off today. Today, we're learning more about the gunman behind the deadly attack on 2 U.S. military facilities in Chattanooga, Tennessee. 4 Marines were killed in the shootings. The lone gunman also killed. Dave Wagner reports federal investigators are searching computer and travel records of the shooter to find any clues for a motive for the deadly attack.
We would ask to take a moment of silence to remember those fallen.
Today, Chattanooga and the nation are mourning for the 4 killed and at least 3 others injured.
This is your community. This is where we live. And something happened here that should never happen.
The violence erupted mid-morning Thursday.
I saw him take 1 shot, and then I just saw him take consistent shots after that.
The suspected gunman, Mohammed Yusef Abdulaziz, then drove 7 miles to a Naval Reserve Center, rammed through a fence, and fired again.
We have no idea at this point what his motivation was behind this shooting.
That motivation just part of the intensive investigation. Last night, authorities searched the family home. Neighbors are shocked.
Seemed like a good kid, quiet kid. Not any problems in the neighborhood or anything like that.
Friends describe Abdulaziz as funny and kind.
It's awful, but I want people to know that he wasn't always like this.
U.S. officials tell NBC News Abdulaziz was not someone federal authorities had on a terrorist watch list, but are now investigating a blog allegedly maintained by Abdulaziz. Clues officials hope lead to a motive for the attacks. As a community continues to mourn their tragic loss. Dave Wagner, NBC News, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
The Tennessee governor has ordered flags to half staff at Capitol and state office buildings. Well, the formation of 2 tornadoes last night, one hitting a transformer in west central Illinois, caught in this incredible video.
Oh my gosh. Got debris.
And you can see the debris swirling in the video. High winds ripped down power lines. Police confirm reports of major damage in Cameron, which is just southeast of Monmouth. The governor says an emergency operations center has been set up in Springfield, Illinois. So far, no reports of injuries. Well, it'll be a perfect weekend to enjoy the lake or the pool. Felicia, how hot will it get?
It will certainly get very hot out there. We're going to continue this trend that we've had over the past few days. And if you are going to be out on the lake or the pool, you're going to want to make sure that you put on plenty of sunscreen. Currently in Springfield, we're already at 88 degrees, mostly sunny skies. A little bit breezy, though. Winds out of the west-southwest right now at 15 miles per hour, so that could be for providing a little bit of relief from the heat. However, dew point at 71 degrees, so that means it's very humid out there. So as you're heading out, just keep that in mind. This is what we're looking at for the next few hours. Temperatures just going to continue to warm up. We're making it into the lower 90s for our afternoon. A mix of sun and clouds, continuing with the upper 80s as we head into the evening. There is a very isolated storm chance today, but I do think most of us are going to end up staying dry and very hot. A quick reminder of those heat safety rules. Make sure you're slowing down today. Reschedule events that are scheduled for the peak heating times of the day, so through the afternoon. Drinking lots of water, and of course take breaks from being out in the sun. If you have to be in the sun, wear your sunscreen. I'm going to have details on that and where we could see some storms today and this weekend coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Felicia. A Kansas judge will stay on the death penalty case of a white supremacist from Lawrence County charged in the killings of 3 people at 2 Jewish sites. Johnson County Judge Thomas Ryan said today there were no grounds for him to step down. Glenn Miller argued Ryan was obstructing justice by not ruling quickly enough on motions or allowing him a computer with online access. Miller is scheduled to go to trial next month for last year's shootings. An air traffic controller at Springdale Municipal Airport has been arrested for public intoxication after being found passed out while on the job in the airport tower. Airport officials say 50-year-old Philip Maschek was arrested on the misdemeanor charge after being found yesterday morning after a pilot who was trying to take off was unable to get the tower to respond to his request. Police say Maschek declined to take a breath test and failed field sobriety tests. He denied being intoxicated. Well, 2 men are recovering after a house explosion in St. Louis. They're in critical but stable condition. The blast leveled the 2-story house and set 2 others on fire. It took 80 firefighters to put out the flames. The cause of the explosion is under investigation. Well, today marks a year since Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 was shot down over rebel-held eastern Ukraine. As the investigation into who's responsible for downing the plane continues, footage has emerged showing what appears to be the immediate aftermath of the disaster that killed all 298 people on board. NBC's Barry Arendt reports.
In a solemn procession, residents of the Ukrainian village where flight MH17 went down a year ago marched to the crash site. In Kiev, mourners, including members of the Ukrainian parliament, paid tribute to the victims of the disaster by laying flowers at the Dutch embassy. And half a world away, the Australian Prime Minister remembered the savagery of the attack as he unveiled a plaque in Canberra.
So now, we owe it to the dead to bring the guilty to justice.
But the commemorations take place while the dispute continues over who's responsible for downing the Malaysian airliner, which was heading from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur on July 17, 2014. Ukrainian and Western authorities say the plane was downed by a missile fired either by the separatists or Russian troops, who they say backed the rebels with weapons and manpower. The rebels in Moscow say the plane was hit by a Ukrainian warplane or a Ukrainian-fired missile. Video has emerged showing what appears to be the direct aftermath of the plane crash. The footage was obtained by the News Corp Australia media company, although NBC cannot guarantee its accuracy. The media company said the footage was filmed by separatist rebels at the crash site as they began to realize the downed plane was a commercial plane and not a Ukrainian Air Force fighter jet. News Corp says this footage was handed over to a multinational joint investigation team this week. A Dutch-led criminal investigation into the crash is expected to be completed by the end of the year. Barry Arendt, NBC News.
At least 2 people are dead after a typhoon barreled across the western end of Japan today. Rivers spilled out of their banks after parts of the island saw more than 23 inches of rain. 2 men drowned, dozens were injured. The typhoon was downgraded to a tropical storm. Nearly 100,000 people were evacuated due to flooding and the threat for landslides. A Missouri Senate committee will soon release the results of an investigation into possible workplace harassment. That report should come out Wednesday. The Senate has been investigating why 2 University of Central Missouri students left early from an internship with a Kansas City area lawmaker. Well, if you're busy making appointments for the upcoming school year, you'll want to add 1 more to your to-do list. It's important to check your child's eyes once a year. The American Optometric Association recommends children get their first eye exam at 6 months old and then again at age 3 and when they start school. It used to be a state requirement in Missouri for kids to get an eye exam before school each year, but it's not anymore. Getting an eye screening is an okay place to start, but they are limited in what they can do. A full eye exam will give you a better idea of visual health.
First of all, check your eye health, which is very important. Make sure the eyes are teaming together. Make sure they're focusing well, because that's a very important part of it. And then there's eye tracking. There's ability to go from distance and near to distance. So a lot of things that we're looking at that a screening doesn't cover.
One problem a screening might miss is lazy eye. It's difficult to pick up in a screening because kids have learned to compensate with their other eye. Eye exams can also detect astigmatism and diseases like diabetes. We'll watch for a slowdown starting tonight at the intersection of College and Kansas Expressway in Springfield. College Street will be shut down as crews do some repaving. The intersection should reopen by Sunday afternoon. A nationwide recall on nearly 2 million chicken products. The expiration date and code you need to look for if you have Aspen food brands in your fridge. And a video streaming service could go ad-free when Hulu could offer the option and how much it will cost.
You're watching KY3.